Hello and welcome to Unsourced Wall. My name is Elvis, and as always, I'm your host. And welcome to 2020. It's the first episode of the new year, and I can't wait to start this new journey with you all. We're going to see where this year takes us. We have a lot of great things come out this year. Hopefully, they turn out to be worthwhile and worth checking out, and honestly, a joy to review. This is going to be kind of a short one, mainly because I don't really have much to talk about, and I'm still just getting over the holiday rush of both back-to-back Christmas and New Year's Eve, so bear with me and we'll get through this as quickly and as painlessly as possible. We only have one news topic this week because the big news has circled right back around toward New Mutants again, and that's pretty much the only thing I'm interested in talking about. It's having a little bit of a moment now that it seems like it's going to be revving up to another attempt of actually coming out, since we have the announcement of a new trailer dropping on January 6th, or one day after this episode releases. So hopefully we've probably already gotten a teaser clip or two, at least if you're listening to this and we haven't, then that's on them. I'm excited anyway. I'm pulling for this, and it's just too easy to rag on the movie for just existing while ignoring what potential it does have, because it has a lot. One interesting thing that did pop out to me during all this new discourse is that apparently there is some confusion over what version of the movie is going to even be released. Which brings us to the even older question: were there any other versions of this movie even made? I'm seeing articles saying that it's going to be the original 2017 cut, and some articles saying it's going to be Josh Boone's director's cut, which, if you remember, were two wholly different things. And then you have to take into account the admission from the producers that they never had the time to reshoot anything because everyone was always so busy and they had to reschedule, and that's one of the main reasons that this is 2 years late. So it's all up in the air. I believe it if it was the 2017 cut, just because they would want to get this out ASAP. But whatever the case may be, I do hope that it's a cut that Josh Boone is happy with. After all this trouble, and the overwhelming probability that it's gonna flop, and the incessant glee that people are taking about that, he deserves that at least. I can't wait to see what drops, and I hope it's not a mess. Hopefully it can stand on its own and that it's just a solid movie. I wish it the best. Moving on to what I read this week, we have, first off, Grendel Devil's Odyssey number 3. Well, like I said last time, it's definitely selling into a formula. About 2 issues per world or adventure before moving on to the next one. And this is no different. The only thing that I feel it has over the first 2 issues in terms of its base plot is that this planet is just a lot more interesting than the previous one. That planet was a standard, boring, and overly simplistic cliche. Like just tribal people, aliens, and how Grendel Prime fumbles around on it. It just didn't have any actual hook to it. This new one barely does. I mean, you can see every plot beat coming from a mile away, but at the very least it has a conflict that is just a bit more menacing, a bit more dire, and with more stakes than just Grendel Prime can't leave, even though these people are just very caveman-esque and he has the entire advantage. It's not much that it offers, but there's a little bit more investment than not at all. One other thing that really helped this issue actually feel like it was something a little bit more, it was something that was not even directly tied to it, and that was the return of Susan Verhagen in a wonderful flashback sequence. One that shows just how well Wagner can pinpoint and exude the lively and terse dynamic that Susan and Grendel Prime have developed over the many years and stories they've been stuck together for. It was pretty much worth it just for that, just to see her again. I just wish this series had her in it because she was such a welcome voice that I don't think this series is able to capture, at least for now. I hope we see more, as the formula might get stale, and it already kinda is. It would be better to have more ties to the Grendel saga as a whole than it has so far, because that would give it some more weight, and this one feels just very shallow. Overall, 2 thumbs middle. I like where this issue went. I'm excited, but in just a very basic kind of way, and this series deserves more. Next up, we have the Dreaming 17, and this kind of jumped over the insane barrier compared to number 16. Not that I minded, but it does provide an incredible amount of whiplash given how orderly, chaotic, and frantic that one was, in a way that made sense of its madness, and how all over the place this one is, which actually kind of works. Like in this instance, it helps to complement everything that's being revealed and tackled with in the real world, and how that's only compounding the destruction and craziness of the dreaming itself, like how the dreaming is just reacting and rejecting everything around it and inside it. Seeing Abel and Matt being assailed by all of this, either physically or mentally, is just a sight to behold. Abel is what really holds this issue together. Just seeing him devolve into a self-loathing, pitiful, and slimy maniac is just hilarious and sad, and just perfect to symbolize how badly the dreaming has been wounded. Lucian and his own troubles are just solid dramatic underpinning, and the way this issue wraps up makes me so damn excited because it has this beautiful mixture of tragedy, somberness, warmth, and then a cynical but boldening punchline that is so damn superior that makes me die laughing. Definitely another issue that you need to read a couple of times to get a grip on, but my thoughts on this final arc as a whole stay the same, that this ridiculous chaos works if it's reaching a crescendo, and that does seem to be the case. Overall, one thumb middle, one thumb up, and I can't wait to see what happens next. I really can. If it continues to, bring out things that are a little bit more hard-hitting, then I'm all for it, and this one definitely does, so kudos. Moving ahead, we have Martian Manhunter number 11, and I can't believe we reached the penultimate issue of this amazing Maxi series, and it's really going for it, and I'm of two minds about what it's doing. I think where it's going is really exciting and has a lot of stakes, a lot of climactic energy and tension, but I just kind of feel like it's just set dressing and a little too rushed. Like it's just there to have some overly long and padded out action scenes. It's good for what it is, but it feels a little bit overstuffed and not at all that effective. Maybe it'll read better all in one go, but that's something I've been having a little bit of an issue with for the past 2 or 3 entries here. That it maybe feels a little bit too stretched out. You have to ease this otherwise relatively emotionally and character-centered story up to that, because it does feel like it's just drawing it onto the pile for the heck of it. I still enjoy this issue a lot. Like John's back and forth with Charn and their first volleys emotionally and mentally are incredible. They just sink their teeth right into John's fears and insecurities and his own development and growth, and it's just perfect. It's pitch perfect. I just wish it had been a tighter experience. Diana's still cool, John is still engaging, and Charn is just so entertainingly petty and threatening. I'm still all in on the finale. I can't wait to see how it wraps up, and hopefully it can bow out gracefully. I'm gonna be a bit cautious for now. Overall, one thumb up, one thumb middle. Moving along, we have Red Hood and the Outlaws number 41. It was pretty okay. Pretty obvious that Lobdell didn't want anything to do with the whole Legion of Doom event that Snyder was setting up, and he threw all of that out the window the second he got the chance. So awesome, congrats. And he does it in a way that plays directly into the kind of themes and tones he's been trying to do with Red Hood since Rebirth started. And that's this kooky, eclectic family style stuff, and that's how he wraps up this whole Legion of Doom Jr. subplot, and it's fine. I can't wait to see what they do with that, because now that this is the status quo and with these new characters, it's just 10 times more interesting to me than just Evil Academy. And it just feels like less of a burden to have someone else's plans. It feels like, okay, this is what Lobdell would have done if this was his own idea, and not just him having to make concessions. And it works. We also get to see the Dark Trinity back together, and they have the same spark immediately. I just hope it holds. I hope that we haven't made it all the way to this point just to have it fumble apart. It's been a long, tiresome ride, but fingers crossed it'll be worth it. At least we have some new dynamics already brewing, and even though I didn't like this arc as a whole, I thought it was just very boring and a little bit uninspired. It has ended on a note that I think is very Red Hood, and I can't wait for more. I really can't. Overall, 2 thumbs middle. And penultimately, we have Diaries for Hero number 10. It should be against the law to have an issue this fantastic come out on the very first day of the year. Like, it doesn't give anything else a chance. It sets the bar too high for the big two. I really don't understand anything else could even compare from them after reading this. It's Humphreys and Quinones at their absolute best. And that's saying a lot, because their average output issue per issue has been ludicrous. I don't even know where you get the skill and the talent to pull this off. It's funny, it's emotional, it's insane, it's engaging, it's enrapturing and just charming and thrilling. I love it. Miguel and Summer are cruising through the multiverse in search of the dials, and this issue does everything it can to take full advantage of that, to an extent that it made my jaw drop and my sides burst from laughter. It's just an exuberant read, seeing how the creative duo are having so much fun with this. It's nice. It's maybe the most enthusiastic maxi I've read in a while that is just pure fun. Humphreys continues to write these characters with such heart and passion, and Quinones imbues that into every panel and line work imaginable. It makes the humor hit hard, it makes the dramatic heights hit harder. Even when this issue takes a more conflict-driven turn, it feels natural and tragically earned. You can see why the character is doing this and all the things that have led up to it. It makes sense. You feel sorry for them, and you hope that things work out, and I really do. I am so invested, and I am shocked. If you had told me that I would be this invested when this first came out, I would have called you a liar. It's just that good, and it's just so memorable, and I love it. I really do. I can't wait for more. I can't believe there's only 2 issues left. Overall, 2 thumbs up. This has been pretty amazing. And lastly, we have Zaura, Control Freak Conspiracy number 2. This is the second issue of Illuminated Comics 4-issue Zaura miniseries, and well, I really enjoyed it. I think that this is something where it does feel a little bit more safe than the first issue, but I think it's playing to its strengths a lot more. I think the first issue was definitely a little bit more of a bumpy road between the vignette style and just trying to have a more serialized story, while this one feels very indebted to its story, very conforming to its characters. there's lots of character-based humor here, things that come from the characters and their dynamics and how they relate to each other and how they feel about each other. It feels so natural. It feels like it has an easygoing pace to it. And at the end of it, I felt like I had read a full issue. I feel like there is just something here that is very polished, that is very, very refined, and I had a lot of fun reading it. Like, I got a really good grip for the Zaura universe as a whole. Like, there's a tone here that is fully realized. There is a sense of direction and a sense of the atmosphere and the energy and the attitude of this world that feels very rounded out in a way that I haven't really felt Zaura be at all until now. Zaura has always sort of come up to me as very eclectic, very chaotic in terms of what gags, punchlines, and sort of jokes it's going to go for. And this one actually feels like there is a set universe here, and it's just pulling and mining everything it can from, almost like middle era Dr. McNinja or Atomic Robo or like The Goon, where it feels a lot more natural and in keeping with the universe's tone and the universe's whole sort of eclectic nature that, well, you can really sort of immerse yourself into. I think that this is definitely a step in the right direction for Zaura. I think Zaura and all of her little cast of characters and people that she just kind of rams into with her own messy nature that it just runs ramshackle over. It is just so entertaining. And just seeing how the world of Zaura operates outside of her own lens and through like our own like reader perspective, it's perfect. It's just so humorous, and it has a dramatic quantity that I think is underpinning it, and it definitely has a good balance here. I would like to see a little bit more drama, like a little bit more of a terse nature to it, but it doesn't really need it. And what it does have, I think, works quite a bit. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was very taut, and it rounds out a really great week of releases. It's such a great note to step out onto 2020 with, and well, what can I say? Zaura is probably one of the best characters I've seen come out from Illuminated Comics in terms of just sheer potential. Like, this mini could be the start of a lot more, and I wouldn't mind. It feels like the sort of character that can do anything, and you can put in situations you can have these stories with, and these 2 issues at least of this 4-issue miniseries really do prove that. So I'm excited, and I can't wait to see where the second half of this mini takes us, and I'm intrigued. I really am. There's a little bit of some questions that are gnawing at me, and I do have investment. And I never thought I would say it about Zaura. I always liked Zaura for the manic nature of it, but now there is this dramatic quantity that I can't deny. So I really enjoyed Illuminated Comics, and 2 thumbs up. I am still just over the moon by it. Anyway, that's it for what I read this week. There's nothing I watched this week. I always mean to review Harley Quinn, but I keep forgetting that it exists. So, well, if I ever get up to that, I'll let you know. And there's no listener question this week, so I want to say thank you so much to everyone out there who's ever sent a question, comment, or topic. It means so much to me, and I'm so grateful. So thank you so much. And if anyone out there has their own question, comment, or topic, you can always find me on Twitter at THE_SNICKMAN. And I want to give a shout out to the cover artists for the show at DOTEMCEE. Please check them out. They're amazing, and give them all the love you can. They're really that fantastic. And I want to say thank you so much for listening. I hope you had a great time, and I hope you have a great 2020. Let's start this new year off right. See you again next week, and hope you have a great one.